Hi, folks, and welcome to our session today, how to revolutionize your workplace with conversational AI assistants. To set the scene, I want you to imagine that it's a beautiful Monday morning, just like it is today. The sun is shining, and you decide that you're going to go for a nice long run. You put on your best running shoes, you stretch a bit, and you head on down the road. And as you get about 100 yards into your pace, you start to feel good. There's a detour, and then another one. The weather begins to change. It starts to rain, and you're getting distracted, but you continue on. Potholes and cracks in the pavement begin to show up. And as you start to further get into your run, what should have been a leisurely stroll ends up becoming a fight. And by the time you get home, you say to yourself, well, was any of that worth it? Folks, my name is Rob Ryan. I'm the head of business value and thought leadership at WorkGrid Software, and I'm sure that analogy was not lost on you. It's one for the workplace today. And today, I'd like to explore how conversational AI assistants, they're not just a futuristic concept, but a present-day solution that can take that rough road and turn it back into a smooth, solid track. We'll discuss a bit about digital friction, where it comes from, its downstream effects. But I'd like to spend quite a bit of time in focusing on some customer use cases in real tangible conversational AI solutions that we see within our customers. At the tail end, I'm going to share a bit of best practices, how to sense friction within the workplace, what to look for, as well as how to assess a conversational AI assistant and its platform. But before we get into that, we have to discuss a bit about, well, the elephant in the workplace. That is digital friction. So, what is digital friction? Well, a good definition of it might be that unnecessary effort that an employee has to exert to use data or technology for work that gets in the way of them focusing on the right tasks and making the right decisions. And it comes from a number of areas. First, there's app overload or app sprawl. I have too many places to go, areas to access, things to do, etc. There's information overload. I'm overwhelmed by having too much information to search, validate, seek, find, discover. And of course, is it even the right information? Next is distractions and disruptions. These are all your notifications, your pings, dings, the attention black holes that end up ripping you from your focus and your flow into another application and another area that gets in the way of us performing meaningful work. And last, and this is certainly on the horizon, will be the rise of AI friction. We can guarantee as more apps and solutions begin to embed AI technologies into their solutions as part of a value add, that's going to add to the continued friction that we already see within the digital workplace. And so when you take a step back and think about your day, you might often forget of just how many applications or screens you may move through. There's the intranet, your CRM, your HCM. It's all the different various wikis that you may have. We can't forget about email. It's your productivity suite. How we do projects in Slack? Are we performing those actions within Teams? Who's doing what for where? And when we look at the statistics, they're quite alarming. And these are historical, certainly over the last 10 years, and quite consistent. Over 50% of employees spend the majority of the time locating, validating, and formatting data. This accumulates into 32 wasted days per year. Your average knowledge worker years ago would access close to 20 to 25 apps per day. That has risen to well over 30 for many organizations. And we can't forget context switching. Most employees, particularly knowledge workers, will end up context switching. That's moving from screen to screen, alt tabbing, anywhere between 1,200 and 3,000 times per day. And we have to wonder, wasn't technology supposed to improve our lives? Let's look at the downstream effect. If I'm missing important communications, if I'm not seeing content alerts that I should be aware of, well, that's going to lead to less overall strategic alignment, lower trust, and certainly lower engagement. If I'm constantly spending my time app hopping, context switching, waiting, or going through archaic steps and workflows, if I'm having to wait for items to be approved, well, that's going to lead to decreased productivity, an eroded attention span, which I'm sure none of us here need our attention eroded any more than it already is, and certainly slower decision making in terms of time and action. And if we're spending our days constantly stressed, overloaded, trying to find critical information, input tasks, item, data, etc., if we're having to go through complex UIs and new experiences per app, that leads to increased stress, decreased ENPS, reduced motivation, and so on. At WorkGrid, we believe there's a better way, and that starts really with the employee. And it's looking at their intent and their action, what the users need, and certainly what they want. If friction begins within the chaos of applications across the tech suite, having to constantly go back into apps, then we need a way to really cut through that clutter by connecting intent to outcome, to the everyday business apps you already use. And this helps by optimizing those experiences, which oftentimes create both the context switch and the time sink. And AI assistants can do just that: guide attention, accelerate action, such as time off, pay access, alerts, notification, inquiries, conversational chains to gain access to new information. And that prioritization allows you to deliver those actions wherever they happen to work. And that's the key takeaway here. A conversational AI assistant is not another place to go, but it follows you wherever you happen to be. This could be on the intranet. This could be working within your collaboration suite, Teams, company portal. Your digital assistant is by your side, able to deliver information when and where you need it, and allow you to gain access to key information and applications when you want. So, what I'd like to highlight is some conversational AI use cases that our customers are using each and every day. And our customer base certainly spans both industry and vertical, many of which are enterprise class organizations that have leveraged AI to really dampen digital friction and enhance the employee experience. To do so, I'm going to use our two friends here as avatars to tell the story of several common use cases that we have seen. Let's take our buddy Doug here. He's a new hire, account executive within our organization, and he's looking to really hit the ground running on his first week. His manager, Berkeley here, well, she's going to be used to help showcase some feature functionality as well, and some of the relationship between the conversational experiences and workflows and how it connects across both personas. Let's dive in. Let's start with our first use case here. It's 9 a.m. and Doug logs in. That could be on the intranet, it could be on Teams, it could be a portal, or even mobile. But he begins to get an understanding of his day via his AI work assistant. He's greeted with actions, items to knows, etc., that he can take quick actions upon, as well as see some of the events that are happening that are just ahead within his day. Now, these are being pulled from back-end systems and being delivered wherever he happens to be. And this is a way to highlight those key action items and information to help Doug begin his day successfully. As well, Doug could take quick actions here, ask questions to the AI assistant if he happens to have a query, and get started. Related to this is a very common use case that we see. Since Doug, it's his first week, he's in the throes of onboarding. And what does the typical onboarding experience look like? You have your list of items, emails, they're all peppered around. And you bounce from system to system in the hopes of getting onboarded successfully. But most of the time, you're like a deer in headlights, trying to take in all this new information. And that certainly creates a drain on time. But here, Doug is presented with intelligent nudges and actions in which he gets a firm understanding of the things that he has to do, but also allows him to culturate faster into the organization. He can engage, he can find the resources, people's FAQs that may be pertinent as a part of his onboarding journey. And he can also ask those questions or even concerns he may have as a part of that experience. Related to this, oftentimes we see the pattern of organizations looking to help to create a better experience for employees solve their own challenges. Here, Doug asks his AI assistant, looks like I need to order some stuff for my home office. Could you help me with this? And he's presented with the guided by procurement app. Now, does Doug really care that these items need to be procured within Ariba or another application? No, he's just trying to get to order software, hardware, a desk, etc., to his home office. And what's nice about this is Doug is able to quickly move through what he needs to gain access to and then submit his request formally. This cycles back to the system of record and then pushes that approval directly to his manager. No need to learn a new interface from a procurement system or an expense system or whatever it may be. And it's the same pattern we see over and over again of where we can take complex workflows, complex experiences, and make them conversational. Now, on the flip side, we see what Berkeley, his manager, has presented. She gets a notification that a new procurement request has occurred. Doug Henderson has submitted his request for a Logitech mouse. She'll see the summary and the details of that request. And here she can add in her comments, approve, reject, etc. Even ask questions to the AI assistant, but perhaps she's looking for additional color and context on, perhaps related to policies and whatnot. This use case can be applied to many different areas. Employee expenses, timesheets. We've seen transfer cycles, onboarding, offboarding, change management requests, and so on. Now let's take a look at the Microsoft Teams experience. Here, Doug's asked the question, how much will the company pay towards an eye test? And what he's given is he's giving a summarized response related to the context and personalization of who Doug is and where he sits in part of the organization, understands what his intent is, provides him with that relevant result. It also will provide him with the source of the information, because naturally there may be time where Doug wants to go further in and truly into the policy itself and begin to read that in full. He asks another question here, can I book a seat with extra legroom on the flight? Performs the same action, provides a summarization, chatting to specific policies, documents, folders, etc. We've had many of our customers as well create explicit navigation, particularly around FAQs, and this could even be applied for product sheets, assets, resources, whatnot. Because when we're looking for information, sometimes it is just searching. Perhaps need more of a map to find that key data and information. Now, data info doesn't necessarily just live within assets themselves, it also lives within people. Now, let's say Doug has a particular challenge. He's unable to log into Salesforce. He wasn't able to find his solution by chatting to the AI assistant. So he's going to open a help desk ticket. And he asks, please open an urgent IT ticket called sync password so I can log into Salesforce. The AI assistant is going to take his context and portions of his utterance and actually pre populate that ticket for him. Now, this provides him with a greater level of transparency. So he's able to access the ITSM directly from and invoke the IT service help desk app. It's going to record his incident. He can change the status and the triggers here. And what's nice is that he'll receive those updates wherever he happens to be, wherever his AI assistant is and wherever he is. So as it moves from incident creation to ticket close, he's going to see those chain of events happen. He's not going to have to go back to email. He's not going to have to go to a third party system. He's going to see the life cycle of it with those smart status updates. Now, knowledge also lives within people itself. Let's say Doug, he's walking through the halls and he happens to meet a new colleague of his, but he didn't quite catch her name. I think it began with a B. It might have been Brooke. And he types in, who is Brooke S? And from here, the AI assistant understands that, oh, you're looking for Brooklyn Summers. Here's her people card. Doug can quickly look at her direct reports, peers, manager, and so on, and get an understanding of who she is within the organization. Now, Gen AI is certainly all the rage. And well, our engineers have been working in conversational AI for many years. Two use cases emerged very quickly last year that I'm sure you're well familiar with. Doug is looking to generate some insights on some copy he has, but the company has locked down public access to ChatGPT and other models. They don't want to leak IP, and the company certainly doesn't want to train someone else's model with their company data. No worries. The Insights Genie app here, which provides governed, wrapped, connected ways for organizations to bring their LLM service and allow Doug to gather insights that is directly controlled. He can use this app to analyze his content, find his key points, and give him a readout. Again, connected to your organization's LLM. He could also leverage a content genie to create content, write content for him as well by chatting to his apps. Now, what does this do? Well, it ensures that all your content, your utterances are secured and even further redacted for PII if you so choose. And it also allows IT organizations to quickly deploy Gen AI use cases. In WorkGrid's terms, we call them genies, in a controlled and measured manner. It also helps dampen that potential use of shadow AI that we keep hearing about and we heard about in the keynote. Employees want to leverage Gen AI services to aid in productivity. And this allows companies to do so in a very well controlled and governed manner. Now, last, departmental use cases and cross department use cases are also quite common. Here, Berkeley is asking for open opportunities, where she's presented with a smart view of the open ops, average deal size, total number of opportunities as well, that's pulling from a database or even SFDC. She could also chat to documents, folders, sales collaterals, content, which is very helpful, certainly for cross departmental use cases, perhaps sales looking for marketing, product collateral insights that they could have quickly delivered, summarized, and accessed for them. And for sales, to look at information across the landscape, marketing as well, them having a purview into sales information as they perform their work. Okay, so how do you get started with conversational AI? Uh, Many of our customers begin really where the pain and the challenge is, and they've done a fantastic job with identifying some initial friction points. But many will oftentimes go deeper to really understand where they begin to create a better workday. And they'll look at qualitative areas, employee journeys, such as onboarding, line of business functional improvements, for example, sales, knowledge search, discovery, and so on. And they'll also take a look at quantitative metrics that provide that tangible ROI of where they can begin to create savings or even generate revenue. This could be around incident management, ticketing, expenses, procurement, redundant workflows and processes. And they'll perform deeper studies uh, with observational studies, actually looking over the shoulder of employees. And in fact, one customer took it a step further. In fact, and we recommend this as a best practice to get started in mapping your friction. So, friction happens on an hourly, daily, weekly, and even once a year basis. And the degree of that friction, that pain, can also be measured. It can be measured quantitatively, qualitatively, and so on. I'll give you an example onboarding, oftentimes a fairly painful process for many organizations to pass their employees to. But it only happens within the first 90 days, but it impacts the entire organization. So the blast radius of that is quite large. Whereas scheduling, let's say, that's typically something that has very low friction. We all know how to use our calendars, but it's something that's happening on a daily basis. And you begin to map back to, well, what are the activities that are causing that friction within our organization? Knowledge discovery, quite high. People are spending well over 50% of their time trying to find answers, information, access. Sales enablement certainly could be better, as well as help and support. This provides you with a way to begin to identify and then further measure out, well, what might be the benefit to begin to leverage conversational AI for these particular use cases. And you can start to map in, well, what is the economic benefit, the time to value, ownership, risk potential of leveraging conversational AI for some of these experiences. And then what is the data and the application access that we need to begin to introduce this to our employees? And what happens is you begin to create really a map of use cases, a list of potential that begins to describe the actions and activities, the systems that we impact the population, and then what the downstream effect will be in terms of business impact. So, for example, approval and reminders, very common use case for conversational AI and certain our customers, where they've seen the ability to take expenses, procurement, etc., and begin to take those delays that might have been well over 7 days in terms of approval cycles down to mere hours. And that addresses that challenge of the delay, the productivity sink, the time waiting, and certainly improves decision making. This can absolutely be measured in terms of times to resolution, approvals, increase to the employee experience, and business value ROI can be associated certainly between the time of productivity and delays. Now, what about technology? It's certainly our belief that what separates an AI work assistant from a horrible chatbot is that the experiences of the past are not the same as they are today, which I'll get into. But it has to be really a seamless marriage here between the strategy and culture as well as the technology. It has to work and operate within your tech stack, but according to your business goals and your organizational objectives. Let's touch upon a few of these key aspects of technology and really some of the differences that you'll see from those reactive chatbots of the day. First, an AI work assistant must be ubiquitous. It has to have the ability to live where the employee moves. And that's a key differentiator. Look, the best sidekicks are the ones who are ever present. Batman had Alfred, Iron Man had Jarvis. Your employees would have an AI work assistant. It operates where they are and provides them with that universal look and access point so they don't need to log into another application. They don't have to app hop or really spend excessive amounts of time hunting and finding information portals and places. In addition to a good sidekick, It's going to deliver information and actions. It's going to provide them with guided information for to knows, to do's. It's proactive in delivering value, not just simply reactive, which is the classic chatbots of yesteryear. Now, another key component of a conversational assistant is that it must have the ability to really understand the user and understand its intent. Now, NLP, NLU technologies, they are legacy. But what's changed is the ability to really enhance and optimize user intent and connections into LLMs and RAG processing. You have the ability to take any sort of colloquial, casual, cultural language and understand the user's intent to deliver meaningful responses. Here, Berkeley's asking for PTO. How much PTO do I have available? It's going through the classic processes of understanding her intent and extracting, but also optimizing via RAG processing so that her query is ultimately aligned to what she's looking to accomplish. This delivers those results, either summarized or providing her with access into applications, assets, knowledge chains, etc., so that we can match the intent to the outcome. Now, for rapid building, AI experiences, there has to be a way for business technologists to quickly quell that friction and guide users. But oftentimes, those are exercises classically that can take months, if not years. And there's several AI assistants out there that are more chatbot experience under the cover that require more explicit keyword mapping and pro coding. It takes time. The ideal is that an organization can quickly identify those friction points and stand up utility rich experiences that become conversational. For example, many of our customers have been able to leverage their use of employee experience apps by developing these 8 to 10 times faster under normal pro code conditions by using drag and drop editor connected into their individual tech stack. Last but certainly not least, a conversational AI assistant must have the ability to quickly connect to those most common data sources and that the enterprise deems critical. And it also has to be quick to develop and deploy. So having the ability to connect into those data sources, but also start from a template that allows a business technologist to quickly create a procurement approval app, travel reminder app, ServiceNow knowledge base extender, sales updates, and so on, allows you to deliver that value to your organization incredibly fast. In closing, the world has changed, but people have not. And if we could take a step back, understand the workday from the point of view of our employees, we can reduce the digital friction from their day, giving them that time back, their attention, and their focus. And we can create the digital workplaces that we all want: modern, personalized, human centric. Thank you.